Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bart Winkler. Let's Grant Bills. Paul Emmig's here. I'm in my basement. I don't know the heating vent situation. But what is it, like 15 out? Man, I wish there was something. Do you guys want to warm up with a little hot stove talk?
Yes.
Boo, 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 boo. Boo, 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 boo. Welcome into the Winklerverse. It's time for We've got the NBA Cup semifinals coming up. We have got the Packers and Seahawks. And the Packers, are we sure we're locked into a playoff spot? Probably. But are we sure? And then we've got some baseball news fresh for you on this Friday, the 13th. One Friday the 13th as a kid, I wrote down every bad thing that happened to me that day. But you know what I realized there and then in fifth grade? That if you manifest bad things to happen to you, bad things will happen to you. If you manifest good things, you'll notice that good things are happening to you. It's all part of your perspective. All right, I am freezing, so we need some hot stove talk. The big news today is Devin Williams. Is a New York Yankee. The Brewers getting back a second baseman whose name I forgot. Apparently he had a nice fall league, which means for 3 weeks he batted well. And they got Nestor Cortes, who I think is a good pitcher. The last time we saw him, though, he came back from injury and was forced to try to win a World Series game, and then Freddie Freeman took him deep.
Yeah.
Or that was the first time of that World Series that he had. So not good there. Yankees fans, I think, are over the moon as much as they can be for not getting Juan Soto, but they got, Devin Williams, super closer. I think Brewers fans are like, hey, Devin, you were great. Like, when you were great, but that was typically the regular season, and in the playoffs, you're either giving up home runs or punching walls. So I don't think like Devin Williams goes down as one of the favorite closers that we've ever had. I think he's under the Dan Kolb, Derek Turnbow sort of stratosphere. Even the Eric Gagne. Devin Williams never bought 5,000 tickets for fans.
But above Jeremy Jeffress?
Ooh.
Yeah.
But below Josh Hader?
I don't know. Jeffress and I had a unique relationship. I never was able to get an interview with him, but I always had to be the one to deliver him the check for doing hits on the fan back in 2017.
You were the bag man.
Oh, Jeremy, he's like, I'm like, I got money for you. He's like, what's up, dude? So that was fun. So what do we think, boys?
Well, by the way, Caleb Durbin
Durbin
is now the Brewers' 15th ranked prospect.
From the Durban Bulls.
Sure. He's 5'6", $185. These are some fun facts of
Little guy.
Unusual body types among second basemen. I'll just ask the question.
We're transitioning from our 6'5", 230 second baseman era.
The Moustakas era with the
offensive line infield we had.
Shaw at the corner, Moustakas. Yeah, you're right. Grant, I think you have a particularly strong opinion on this. Devin Williams, good riddance. Or
the author.
I thought you might go. Yeah.
The deliverer, the bagman of one of the most painful moments I've experienced as a Wisconsin sports fan. Good riddance. Thank you for all of your great moments. I recognize that you were a very effective closer, the top of the league for a long time. Gotta go. Gotta go. And he might be great in New York. No problem. Gotta go. He can't continue after what happened against the Mets. Just can't.
Well, what do you remember about him when you think of Devin Williams?
Well, that home run followed by punching a wall.
And then I agree. Those are the top two. My third is he essentially invented a new pitch. So that if I was to give you my positive Devin Williams memory,
no, I don't even. You got to go down to at least number 4 for me, because number 3 is he set the tone for the team being sad after Hader got traded.
Great point. He
Yeah.
did.
Right.
Yes.
I don't
he
even
did.
really
I
know
don't
what
like-
to say right now. I want to win. Remember that mopey ass press conference?
Yeah. So Devin Williams has delivered you so many like good little moments, but he's also been kind of the catalyst for like even though it's fewer, they're bigger impact than the good moments, which is like, oh yeah, he came in and struck out the side and on a let's say a random Tuesday in July.
Another very memorable moment, I believe it was on a random Tuesday when he gave up that tank to Carlos Correa I think that was in 2023. That was in the week leading up to Paige Sporonic golf night. Really, it wasn't Paige Sporonic night. It was golf night. But remember that? I think it was his first blown save of the year. And then they asked Counsell about it, and Counsell was like, look, he's a great pitcher. And great pitchers they're going to give him up too. It's like, thanks, Craig. So I remember more of the bad moments, but maybe that's because his biggest moment, his most recent moment, was as bad as it gets.
And when you're a closer, right? Like,
sure,
you're at the end of the game. If it goes poorly, you are what's remembered. Also, if it goes well, it's what remembered. But yeah, I think this was inevitable this offseason, going into the last year of his arbitration contract and being a free agent. I think the Yankees, for all intents and purposes, are better with Devin Williams than with Nestor Cortes, especially because I think Cortes needed a change of scenery. Devin Williams needed a change of scenery. I'm surprised the Brewers took back a player in Cortes who makes as much money as Williams and who also is a year away from free agency. Like, yes, they also get Durbin, a second baseman who maybe plugs in, maybe. But like, I know they got cash back as well, the Brewers did from the Yankees, but it wasn't what I didn't expect to know one of the players they got for Devin Williams. I like, they're going to get like 3 prospects and you'll have to, but Cortes being one of them, that's
a name that
we know as baseball fans, and that surprised me.
That's an interesting. I've never heard anyone say anything like that, Paul. You are disappointed that you knew one of the people that we got in return. And I'm not even saying you're wrong. I get where you're coming from, but doesn't that tell us something interesting about the way baseball works?
And about how the Brewers in particular, like that they would say, okay, well, so we're trading a guy 1 year away from free agency for making $7 million for a guy who's leaving in free agency in 1 year for $7 million. Oh, we also get this 5'6" second baseman. Maybe that'll be something, maybe it won't. But like that, I don't know. That was
There's something to think about too. It's his last year of arbitration, and what's his last moment that he experienced on a baseball field? Giving up that nuke to Freddie Freeman. So Matt Arnold can walk into that arbitration hearing. He's probably bored. He probably wants to crack some ass and some skulls in an arbitration hearing anyways. He's like, oh yeah, this guy we just brought in, he's great, but I mean, what just happened? And it was him being thrown in a playoff game. I don't like Nestor Cortes. I don't like how he does just throw the ball. I hate that. And because he's on my team, and if he pitches well, I'll get over it, but I really don't like it.
And I think he's one of the first 3 starters for the Brewers in 2025. Or mm-mm.
Well, I was kind of bummed we lost Frankie Montas.
Yeah.
For the money that he made, I'm fine with it. And also I think Weimer the Brewers are like, this guy is not it. Also, sources close to the situation have told me that Weimer just did not. The work ethic, the intensity was just not there. So if that's the piece.
So here's where we are as baseball fans in 2024 after Juan Soto signs a 15-year deal for $765 million. Is I feel like we have to I've given up on the fact that the Brewers will ever win a World Series. I don't think I'll ever see one.
I have not actually, but go ahead.
I don't think I'll ever see one. And again, going back to that Mets series, that's all I wanted. Just beat the Mets, move on, give me games into the weekend.
I just wanted to advance.
I wanted to like get together with some of the other preschool dads and watch a game. I mean, that's really all I wanted to do. But it's like, you know how you take your little town and everyone's working hard and you're working your 9 to 5 and you're going out for Friday drinks and you just want to do enough to get by and to have a nice life and just take care of your own and enjoy it. trying not to think that, elsewhere in the world, there's people that are making money just on the fact that they have money. Like they have so much money that their investments just on interest alone are making more money than you make for grinding your ass for 50 hours a week. And that's where we're at in baseball. Like this Soto thing, you almost gotta feel like it's not even something relative to your world is where I'm at. It's they're doing their thing. They're competing. We're just trying to enjoy a summer. Oh yeah, we got this guy. Okay, prospects. Okay, yeah, but they're not even. They're not even in the same. The challenges, the day-to-day life of somebody who has millions to billions of dollars. The day-to-day life, from the day-to-day life that like does look at their grocery bill and it's just completely different. And the Brewers, we're looking at the grocery bill. We're using coupons. We're, emailing kitty smoke alarms when 2 go defective after a year, trying to get our $60 back.
Making our coffee at home, rice and beans and rice.
Yeah, when the Mets are just like, oh, my fucking smoke alarm didn't work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to buy that company and fire everybody. It's different. So it's like, hey, it just feels weird trying to be like, okay, Devin Williams, Nestor Cortes, who's the second baseman, when other teams are just playing a completely different sport than us. So, and I don't know where Kyle Tucker to the Cubs fits in that.
Well, as Cubs fans, he's better than Juan Soto. I mean, this is franchise defining.
Yeah, and it's less money, and he's going to be better, and it's more impactful, and he's playing at Wrigley.
And they'll totally re-sign him. There's no way they're acquiring him just to let him walk in a couple of years.
Yeah, his first words as a baby were "beat Duke."
Yeah.
Belichick, what was that shit? My first words were "beat Duke." If Bill Belichick's first words as a baby would "beat Duke," you think would have heard about that until before he was 72 years old? What the fuck?
Possibly.
That's what I said last night. I said, my first words were Infinity Sports Network.
I didn't hear that.
Come on. Any other thoughts on D-Will or Nescor or
J-So?
This
has been a fun offseason. I'm glad that even the Boris clients are doing deals. They're not waiting until spring training for some G-dang reason. Like, let's go. And I know the NFL is going on right now, but what I learned today doing the afternoon show is like, we had a loaded show talking football, but there's always those moments throughout the course. Like, Bart, you would know this, like the segment that goes like 1:55 p.m. to 2:59 p.m. Like, what is the perfect thing to mention in that 4-minute window? And like a baseball transaction. Great. Like, awesome. That's a perfect thing to stick after a long rant about Belichick and before a rant about the Chiefs, right? Like, and I'm glad that baseball is giving us that. It's probably not the Juan Soto thing will lead shows, but all these other moves are just perfect, like they're seasonings, they're little additions to the sports.
They're called kickers.
Yeah.
I think we talked about my only other thought on this is I know we talked about this when which NBA player was it in the past 6 months who signed the 75 or 70? Was it? We were talking about Jason Tatum, I think, where we were saying like, oh, at the end of his deal, he's going to be making $75 million, which was creeping really close to $1 million a game. And we're like, oh, like what is the breaking point? Like I think we got to 700+ million more quickly than I thought. Like, if you rewind 3 years, I wouldn't have said, oh, in 3 years, we're going to have a 765.
Well, look at the contract that Soto was offered 3 years ago was the same amount of time for 440. And just by waiting 3 years, he grabbed another 300 million.
You're already seeing stuff with like, okay, so is Gunnar Henderson going to wait this out? And Boris talking about like, this is why I encourage my guys. Like, it's so hard to not sign. Because by the way, Juan Soto could have gotten hurt. Like, could have had something happen. Like, I'm not the gambler who's going to take that chance. I would not advise Gunnar Henderson to like, hey, 440 mil cannot change your life. You need 765 to change your life. Like, that's generational wealth. 440 mil. So Bart, you guys will in the not so distant future will both report a Major League Baseball signing that says signed for $1.1 billion. Like, we're not that far from it. And like, what is is there a number where people are just like, nope, nope, can't do it. Can't watch a $1 billion base. Is it like,
no, because then whoever that is, like their team, it's not their money, and they're going to be pumped that they got, like, Mets fans are pumped that they have an owner that will spend and can spend more.
I'm not saying the Mets fan would be upset by spending the $1 billion.
Well, that's the thing. That's the cognitive disassociation. Like, we're Brewers fans, and we're going to have discussions about Devin Williams and Nestor Cortes, and are we going to see the second baseman? And we're going to go on living our life while all this other stuff is happening, because we're separating the two, even though it's the same. But we're still like thinking we're going to win it. We're never going to win a World Series, Paul.
I saw
under what format?
I'd say there's two other things.
Can't compete.
I saw there was like, is Juan Soto, and Bart, you might have even had some version of this, but is Juan Soto the first piece or the last piece of the Mets as they build? I'm like,
yeah, I said that.
They have Francisco Lindor, right? Like, who would be if Francisco Lindor was traded to the Brewers, we wouldn't be asking, is this the first piece or the last piece? It's like, right. But even asking that question, like, Lindor is a great and marketable and still relatively young player. And it's like, Lindor, you need Soto too. That's odd to me. But then the other last piece would be, and I think we can say this despite our own appearances, because we're not professional athletes and we're not being paid $765 million. But his pictures at Shea Stadium today with the little gut pudge, like, it's fascinating to me as we passed around a picture this week of the NL baseball managers and how they just are completely nondescript, anonymous looking people for the most part. Like, the highest paid player in the history of baseball, like, if you didn't know who Juan Soto was and you saw this man, like, you wouldn't be like, highest paid athlete, like, in the history of sports.
Because he's got a tummy, are you saying?
Yeah. It's interesting that this is this is the highest paid athlete ever on a total contract value, and he just kind of looks like a guy. I'm fascinated by the appearance of it.
I don't know that I agree with that, because I watched videos of him walking in, which by the way, did you see, like, Heyman? Did you guys notice this in the clip that the Mets posted? Heyman is standing along the wall, like right next to the path where they all walk through, and Soto like taps him on the belly as he goes by, as if to say, like, I don't even know, but the WFAN versus Heyman situation had my eyes peeled for this. But Paul, I disagree, because, like, I think Cowherd talked about last week, like, Ohtani, he is a global icon. That contract made sense. It's like, that's a star.
Yes.
And I think some people were like, man, $750 for Soto. I watched those clips of him in the suit. Like, he does look a little larger than life. And maybe now that he's gotten paid that, it's just, I'm seeing what I want to see. But he matched the eye test in his introductory presser. And
I was watching MLB Network Sunday night when he signed after the game, and they showed this at bat he had in the playoffs.
Is it the one where he stared down the pitcher and there was like that was, I watched that live, believe it or not, and that was awesome.
Where he's just like, I'm going to get you to throw me a fastball. I will foul everything else off, and when you throw me a fastball, I'm hitting a home run. And he did, and it's just like,
that was awesome.
It was awesome. So this is what I said about the Mets initially with Steve Cohen when he took over, and this is where
I remember this take.
Yeah, this is where you'll see change. If you want to ask, like, what's going to be a number that's too high. So if you've got 7 or 8 teams that can spend a lot of money, like we've had historically, and then the 20 teams that are poor, we're just going to be like, oh, I wish there was a salary cap, blah, blah, blah. But these 7 or 8 teams are just going to like, all right, it's my turn to sign this big guy. It's my turn to sign this big guy. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. If you get one team to outrich the rich, so if Steve Cohen like starts collecting, like, okay, you got Juan Soto, and then he gets the next guy, the change is going to come when the rich don't feel rich anymore. It's never going to come when the poor don't feel poor. So I was saying at the time, if you're a small market baseball fan, you need to root for the Mets, because if the Mets start paying a lot more and winning, the other people will want change, and it still may not help you. Like it's still going to be designed to help them, but it will help you more than whatever situation you're in right now. Call it trickle down economics, if you will. Or not.
You know what I don't like, and I think we mentioned this with the Golden Batter briefly at the end of last week's podcast, is anytime like big baseball contracts like this happen, or anytime there's big baseball news, big enough to like crack its way into like Colin Cowherd's show, for example. I feel like a lot of the national, Bart, you're not a part of this, but a lot of the national hosts like use these contracts and rule changes and stuff to like prove how above it they are. Like I'm not a local purist yokel obsessed with tradition and stuck in the old ways. Like, and Cowherd this week was talking about like, well, if the Mets and the Dodgers get all the players in the Yankees, it'll be like the NBA at its best, where there's a couple super teams that drive all the revenue. And that won't be great for small markets, but then road attendance will jacked up. So like when the Mets go to Milwaukee, and it's like, but that's not how it, you can't think about baseball like the NBA. You just, you can't think about it. It's too integral to the fabric of these local markets in a way where it's not for a lot of these NBA teams. So I don't know. I love talking Brewers. I'm going to do a ton of it on my show tonight, and I love talking baseball, but anytime big things happen, I roll my eyes a little bit because I think national talkers miss the point.
Well, I'll add to that and just say, like, undisputedly, the Yankees-Dodgers World Series was great for Major League Baseball.
It was.
If 3 out of every 4 ALCS and NLCS was Mets, Dodgers, and Yankees, Red Sox, Major League Baseball as a whole would be thriving, right? Like if it was Yankees, Red Sox, Mets, Dodgers, every mid-October, if you were the commissioner of the sport, like you would say, please, right, Grant?
Yeah.
I mean, just economically, like you would. But as the Milwaukee people, it's like, yeah, you're good. We got a good conversation going. But it is hard. But I do think it's like, I want to see the Mets against the Brewers. I want to see the Dodgers against the Brewers. So it is good, especially because the Brewers haven't done it, but the most expensive team, like historically, like it's not a recipe to like, oh, well, they're going to be really good then. Like that's not historically true. And by the way, this Soto contract could be like remember the end of the Miguel Cabrera contract? Like it was a total albatross. It was a joke. It was a talking point for jokes. Like it's very possible.
You could also opt out after 5 years and make $1 billion somewhere else.
He could, but let's just say he plays it out. Like you think 38, 39, 40, and 41-year-old Juan Soto is going to be raking? Like
no, but I don't think Steve Cohen cares. Like
he probably doesn't.
Well, what if somebody signed LeBron to a 15-year deal when he was 25? They'd still be getting the value on that.
And I would feel good about that with some baseball players. I don't think Juan Soto, who's not fast, doesn't play good defense, like he's not a 5-tool player.
You're saying all he can do is hit? Is he really a Hall of Famer?
That's what I'm saying. He's just a hitter. But it's true though. That is, I would rather, if it's like, hey, you get to give $765 million to one player, Steve Cohen, he wouldn't choose Juan Soto. Like that wouldn't be the first type of skill set guy you'd want to give it to. He's thrilled he's thrilled someone accepted it, right? But it's an interesting contract.
I want to get into some other stuff.
I do too.
I do want to remind you.
Oh boy.
What have I been saying about stocking stuffers? Look at this stocking. This is the stocking I had as a child. You got a little precious moment. And why were precious moments? Like, how did they become a thing? My grandma still's got a whole case of them. And we got some laying around the house.
They got replaced by Funko Pops.
They did.
Precious Moments blew a 3-1 lead to Funko Pops. Sorry, continue.
Look at the stocking stuffer I have in here. Gummies from Happy Place Hemp. These are the CBD, CBN ones that help you sleep. I'll take a handful of them right now. But they do help me sleep, and they've been great, especially on like a Friday night where I have to work late, and then I also have to get up to watch my kid play basketball. Well, not have to. I get to. I could sleep in, but I want to see it. Although tomorrow is just picture day. Still have to go to that. Oh, I got to tell you guys about that in a second. But Happy Place Hemp, I'm telling you about that. The promo code is BART, 25% off each and every order. I do think it's a great stocking stuffer for the holiday season and also to get you through some of the things that happen during the holiday season. They've got seltzers, gummies, tinctures, and more. You go to the website. They're in Muskego. They'll ship it to you out of Wisconsin, anywhere in Wisconsin, many of the states as well. We've got orders from all over the country that they'll get to you right away, the 25% off. The code, it helps with shipping too. Free shipping in almost every case. So check it out. HappyPlaceHemp.com. Promo code is BART. 25% off. Promo code BART when you order. My kid, he's got what am I trying to say here? He's got picture day. And it's a bye. He's got a bye. But so there's 5 teams in this basketball league. So there's a bye each week. But our bye lands on picture day. So they say, here's the different times that you can come take your picture. I'm thinking, shouldn't a picture day be all together, like a team picture? Apparently, we're going to take a solo picture, and then they're going to take pictures of the kids and then put them all together as if they were all standing next to each other.
Come on.
So there's 5 different windows. People are going to show up at 5 different times, and they're going to present us a picture as if they were all together there at the same time.
That's really dumb.
Which I kind of don't want to, like that. I don't want my kid to be in the AI system.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just don't like it on principle.
Yep.
Like I hate AI so much. I hate AI so much, but I use AI. I use Google's got a thing on their browser where you can take a picture and it tells you what it is. That's AI.
Yeah.
I just don't want AI to start taking away people's jobs, which it already has and which it will continue to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I mean, if you guys are pro AI, that's are you guys AI right now?
I guess I just don't have to have an opinion on it in my day-to-day, my D2D.
Also, how do 3D printers work? I don't quite understand. Do they really just print something that didn't exist?
What's the deal with 3D printers?
I don't understand.
I don't either.
Where's it coming from? If you could really just say like, I want a, I don't know, a samurai sword, and then a 3D printer can just make one. Like, is that how it works? That should be a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else?
I can just nod. I don't have anything to add. It's an interesting thought.
What else we got?
Good stuff. I'll get you a Packers and a Bucks, and then we'll get out of here. I really enjoy the hypotheticals. Obviously, this is one I saw, and I was like, okay, I got to ask the guys about this. Zach Cruz posted this. He said, Matt LaFleur said the Packers studied extensively and really liked Jackson Smith-Njigba and Zach Charbonnet in the 2023 draft. Njigba went 20th, Charbonnet 52nd. Packers took Lucas Van Ness at 13, Luke Musgrave at 42, and Jaden Reed at 50. My question for you, Smith-Njigba and Zach Charbonnet, or Van Ness, Musgrave, and Jaden Reed. You get the 2 Seahawks, you get the 3 Packers. You would rather have Smith-Njigba and Charbonnet instead if you could go back and redo that in the 2023 draft. Or that you'd do it differently and you'd trade right now for the 2 Seahawks instead of having those 3 Packers. Or
You can even take Charbonnet out of it, and I'm saying
Yeah.
I love Smith-Njigba.
That was going to be my question, is like, who's the best player in that bunch? And I think it's Smith-Njigba, right?
He is.
And also
he's their number 1 receiver on a team with DK Metcalf, my friends.
Yeah.
He's their best receiver.
Yep.
I would love now Jaden Reed, okay, but we keep asking, is he the 1? Is he the 7? Is he the 15? Is he the 2? Like,
Yeah.
And Van Ness, okay. We're also at the point where like the Packers take a guy in the first round, and I'm like, why even pick?
It does feel that way.
Like, oh, okay, they took a project. A project for what? For who?
Well, that's
I think you know what I think. I think they're taking first round picks that they know they won't have to give a fifth year to, and they're like, we don't think that like we find guys in other ways. The first round pick is something we just have to do, so we'll use that for depth and then not pay this guy. We're not looking for a star in the first round. We don't want a guy that we're going to sign to 3 contracts in the first round.
So I think it's the opposite. I think they are going for such home run swings, but
they're trying to draft Thon Makers.
That was literally going to be the next word out of my mouth. God damn it.
That's exactly right. It's like this might be a foul tip to the catcher, and it might be a home run. That's what it feels like.
When are we going to get one of those home runs? Like at least the Bucks got one.
Rashawn Gary.
Stop. No. That's not
your guy.
A lot of people on Packers Twitter, when you point out that a first or a second round pick isn't really contributing right away, Packers fandom from a certain corner of the internet will be like, well, the draft's not for the here and now. What do you mean? Not contributing now? Are you a caveman? That's how you're judging this player? I'm like, okay, even if Van Ness or whoever like gets good in 3 years, like there are also players who are good right away and good in 3 years.
Yeah.
Like just because a pick is good right away doesn't mean they also won't be good. I don't know. I just, it's hard to have discourse about a Packers draft pick because you can't judge them for 3 years. And then 3 years down the road, when you want to judge them, then some Packers fans will be like, oh, you're still hung up on that pick from 3 years ago. It's like, well, I was waiting until the statute of limitations ran out. Like it's really hard to judge Packers.
I mean, the only home run of recent is Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Jordan Morgan, I have no expectation of.
No idea.
I don't even think he exists. Van Ness, okay. Quay Walker, people are done with. Eric Stokes, I mean,
rough.
As done as you can be with a player that's still on the roster.
Love Rashawn Gary. Jair seems like a nice 1, 2, 3, but Jair doesn't play.
Jair doesn't play.
He's out again.
He doesn't play. Jair Alexander does not fucking play football. What?
It can't be. It's not a good value when, no matter how talented, if he's not available to play.
It's like half of the time, like 50%.
We've eclipsed half now.
It's funny, by the way, I think it was on Wednesday. A lot of times I'll lead my show. I'll tag like Matt LaFleur's little injury update at the beginning of his press round to the front of my intro, just to get everyone caught up, before we begin. And Bill Huber was like, I won't do the Bill Huber voice. I won't. I was going to try. I won't do the voice. He was like, hey, Jair's out there, full participant, second day in a row. That's got to be great. And LaFleur was basically like, yeah, we'll see. We'll try on Sunday and we'll see. Like I could hear it in his voice. It's like, this fucker always does this though. Like what's to say he doesn't go out there Sunday and get hurt 4 plays in? Like you could just tell LaFleur was not fired up, even though he was a full participant. He was off the injury report and LaFleur still didn't seem excited about it.
And he was right to not be.
He was right.
Do we have any DeAndre Campbell takes that we need to get into the world? I thought it was very interesting that immediately the whole team was just like, yeah, let's just say we fucking hate this guy.
Right?
Except for Brock Purdy, who's like, Purdy's like, oh, I didn't know until after the game. Yeah. You're on the sideline for a half and nobody told you that DeAndre Campbell deuced out of there. Or you just don't want to say anything because you don't want your $60 million payday. Also, DeAndre Campbell, he should be getting the most exotic fruit basket that exists from Deebo Samuel. Jesus.
Good take.
Deebo Samuel, give me the ball, delete. They gave you the ball, sir. The first play of the game, they tried to give you the ball. They tried to give you the ball on a third down you could have scored a touchdown on. They gave you the ball on handoffs. You somehow had less yards than the 21 yards a game you've had for the last month.
Yep.
What happened to this guy?
That was my observation from last night, and I think I texted that to you both this morning. It's like, it's amazing how everyone will say nothing at a presser. Like reporters will ask, hey, is there drama here? Are people upset about this? And everyone who spoke to the media last night after the game fucking unloaded on DeAndre Campbell. Like George Kittle was like, I've never had that happen before. I hope I'm never on a team with someone where that happens again. Like,
Yeah.
holy
So did they cut him yet or no? Because people were calling, they did cut him?
Are they going to suspend him without pay? They're figuring out the semantics.
People were calling me and saying, I think he did this on purpose to get cut so that he could sign with a contender.
No. DeAndre Campbell has destroyed his minimal value that he had.
So all it takes is one. Guy was an all-pro 3 years ago.
He just quit on his. I mean, no.
You don't think one of these playoff teams, somebody goes down, T.J. Watt gets hurt, Lions get another linebacker get hurt, DeAndre Campbell sitting there. You don't think they're going to be like, well, fuck it, we need a guy.
If I had to bet, I think he's played his last NFL down.
Absolutely not.
I'll
take.
I'm not sure he's played his last down this season.
I'll take you on that. I'll take a bet. I think he's done. Like, I think his career is over.
Like DONE done or DUN done? Because there's a
Both.
difference. Oh, fuck. Shit.
Damn, that's yeah. I was just watching all the clips, and this is why the NFL is great. This is another take from last night. There's really only like one or two takes. That game blew. I watched the whole game, not because I wanted to by the end, but because I'm like,
good job.
I need to go on the air tomorrow and watch. Something crazy will happen at the end, and then I'm gonna have to wake up tomorrow and like reverse engineer the whole thing and come up with my take. Whereas if I'm sitting here and watching it, it'll just happen naturally. And the game sucked, and I'm like, why did I do that? And then I'm getting ready for bed. Oh, what's this? Oh, a guy quit, and the entire locker room stuff. The NFL's great. One of the worst games of the year, and still we get an awesome story to talk about the next.
This is my favorite thing that I've been noticing lately: the reverse engineering of things. Where, like Juan Soto, okay. Oh, I loved what they were doing over here. I want to be a part of a dynasty builder. You love what they were. You were watching them while you were in the fucking World Series. Bill Belichick. I've always loved college football. I don't know how I never got to be a coach here because you were dominating in the pros. It's like, oh well, my. It's the same thing that I always said that I would do. The same thing that Council did with the Cubs. If I ever like worked in Chicago full time in radio, I would reverse engineer the shit out of it. God, I love going to Wrigley. Packers Bears. I always respected that rivalry. Cubs were my first favorite team. We've never been able to get into hockey, so I've always like had a keen eye on the Blackhawks. You know, it's like you can reverse engineer anything, and it's fascinating to watch so many of these people do it, especially Belichick. My first words were beat. I think his whole legacy's over. My first words were beat Duke. Fuck you. I mean, that really pissed me off.
Well, and some author, I'm sure you guys saw the screenshot, like a billion years ago, wrote in a book. It's like, I wouldn't be surprised if Belichick ends his career as but that's not that. What I tell you described is not this. This is different than that.
He is Robert De Niro in The Intern. He is 70. He is bored. He is going back to college, aka the building that happens to be where he worked as a phone book salesman for 40 fucking years. Now, I want you to know also, you're like, Bart, wow, The Intern. How do you know so much about it? I didn't know anything about it yesterday morning, but for some reason, my reels are just feeding me a fucking Intern. I thought I got the whole movie yesterday.
You've never seen it?
No. Anne Hathaway shares a pizza, and she's like, wait, this used to be a phone book place. And he's like, She's like, wait. The guy, he looks down. He's like, have you been drinking, sir? Why don't you go home and don't drive Anne Hathaway? I've seen the whole movie yesterday on Facebook. I watched all of Young Sheldon on fucking Instagram.
Who's the dad? I love the dad's character. I always see the edits. They add like the Hardo music in the background. But I can't remember his name. I maybe it's a boredom thing. I think it's a power thing. Like I need to be in charge of people, and I need to make sure I can get all my what's the word I'm looking for? Compadres, my posse, my cohorts. What word am I looking for? My henchmen,
my crew.
I need to get all these people hired so I can keep. He just wants to be in charge of shit. It's an
Speaking
ego
of crew,
thing.
I turned on the TV today, and McAfee was in West Virginia getting fucking wasted on whiskey on ESPN, just saying shit every 3 words. while AJ Hawk was back at the ranch, and they're like, the audio was so shitty. It's like, what? This is what ESPN's paying you $15 million a year for this? Good for him.
Him and his the word I was looking for is cronies. That's the word I was looking for. It is
By
kind
the way,
of a bad product.
Do you refer to the radio station as the ranch back at Radio Ranch?
No.
I got that from Wade Bates. The ranch. The ranch is the radio station. All right. Maybe it's
I refer to it as the salt mine when I leave the apartment in the morning. Off to the old salt mine.
All right. Do you have a Bucks one?
Well, Grant, just hit me quick with the Njigba Charbonnet.
Oh my God, Jesus, I forgot.
For Van Ness, Reed, and Musgrave. To me, it's a slam dunk. You would do the trade. You would take.
Would you?
And Charbonnet. So for me, I'm taking the Seahawks. Got the Seahawks two guys versus those 3 Packers.
I mean, I would love to say that I'd keep Jaden Reed and the Packers guys, but what's the argument? The best player is Jackson Smith-Njigba. And you can't argue, well, the Packers keep 3 guys to the Seahawks too, because Luke Musgrave has barely played and hasn't done much. And Lucas Van Ness could end up to be like a generational level bust for how high he was drafted.
13.
I don't think that will happen, but it could. It's on the board.
7 picks before JSN. 7.
Yes. So what's the argument? I think you have to take the Seahawks guys.
I was going to say, so if we obviously unequivocally say that Smith-Njigba is the best player of those 5, Charbonnet's not the worst of the 5 either.
No.
So it's like, I think it's a pretty obvious one. I thought it was interesting. All right, here's my Bucks one. I was texting with some friends about Lillard's value and like what the addition has really been. Some of the questions you might discuss with friends about like Jimmy Butler for Dame, who says no type of thing, right? And ultimately it came down to a discussion of the Giannis Dame pairing, how it's been, how it's projecting to go, and all of those things. My question for you is overall, the Giannis and Damian Lillard pairing is fine. Or not bad. It's not great. It's fine.
I still love it. I still think it was the right decision.
Let's say it's not the right decision. But like now that you've seen a whole bunch of games of these two together, the pairing, and if this is what it is.
You know how this is going to work to its maximum capability? Is if Damian Lillard wakes up and says, what are my goals? I want to win the NBA Finals in Milwaukee. So how do I do that? I single-handedly help Giannis become the MVP. That's how this shit works.
Yeah.
And I like this article I was looking at today where could some of the NBA Cup play, because these are different standalone games. We're going to get some SGA. We're going to get some Giannis. Could this help decide could this push the MVP narrative?
I just think
all 100% of my forehead is asking this question.
I just think the league has moved on from a world in which Giannis is in the MVP conversation. You know what I mean?
It's just decided.
Yeah, it's like he's done winning MVPs, which is odd.
Well, I'll tell you what he is. He's MVP at swimming every week, most valuable parent, because he is there holding his young daughter while watching his other 2 kids swim and being left alone. It's crazy. He goes to this swimming. Everyone there knows who he is. He knows everyone. I'm wearing this Bucks hat, so there's no question. And we're all just like, oh, excuse me.
He's also the largest human being you will ever set eyes on in a human setting. Like
now, my kid at one point did tell his other friend, he goes, hey, that's Giannis. But I don't think Giannis heard.
Have you considered the possibility of like referring to him like
as a friend?
Excuse me. Sorry, Joel. Excuse me. I'm just trying to sneak through, or like some other NBA superstar name.
Like I'm so stupid.
Like but like you he's an NBA player, but you're gonna excuse me.
You know what he
Mr.
needs to
Middleton.
Do?
Excuse me, Mr. Middleton.
He needs to show up at this with Thanasis, because I would approach Thanasis.
He seems more approachable.
I'd be like, "What's up, T?"
You gotta ask him. You got to approach him, but like only about something swimming. Like you got to come up to him, and he'll be like, "Here we go," and you be like, "Hey,
Hey,
is the holiday schedule for the pool different? Do you know?" like into just a straight swimming question, just
Yeah.
as a parent to a parent, and
Parent
it's
to
nothing to
parent.
do with.
Oh,
the
I
fact
see
he's
that teacher we had him. She's great. Are you guys? Did you know my kid was swimmer of the month in August? Did you guys know that?
I think you could also
You need
pull off-
pointers? Do the kids need pointers?
I think you could also pull off a thing where it's like, hey, is your son one of those, is he the one that, so his make up the name of the stroke. I think if he just went a little bit more like, so I think if, like just kind of just like do a little so I was a high school swimmer. Okay. And, I just
and then
noticed,
talk to him for like 6 minutes and then
Really?
hit him with I also played high school basketball. Your free throws. I could help you.
Yeah. Good luck at Vegas, anyways.
if you could just cut down the routine to like a 7-second free throw thing. I do like
Well,
that.
actually, what I would say is I know a man who could, without fail, help you fix your free throws. His name is
Buck
Chuck
should have
Freeman.
hired him years ago, and it's a shame he's still not on the payroll.
Who?
Chuck
Freeman.
Freeman.
Oh, the Chuckster.
I thought of Chuck on last Saturday. I was in Robert's specialty meats, and all I could think about was he's all I could think about.
The best read.
Where
in
it was
history
a
of reads.
4-minute read and 3:30 was directions.
Yeah.
I gotta go back and hear some of these clips. Yeah, his Roberts reads were truly elite.
They were.
Like, part of me wants to say, ironically,
Big 94, you go 3 blocks, there's an old tree. Take it past Tallies.
like no one would ever,
It used to be a Cracker Barrel, now it's a Shenanigans.
no one could ever possibly accuse him of like, well, that was a scripted promo. Like it was clear.
Not a chance.
Like you would never write the words in the order in which you did. It's just, it's perfect.
I think, by the way, that Giannis and Dame, the pairing is better than fine. I think it's better than it was last year. I think it's better than fine. It's not great, but it's better than fine. I think it's solid to good with chances to improve, because Chris, as a facilitator, like the way he helps the ball move around and get into guys' hands when it needs to get into their hands.
Chris is the same thing. If he can just be like, I'm going to get Giannis 10 assists a game and never fucking shoot. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So wait, maybe here's a thought for you. Is the Giannis Dame pairing fine without Chris and solid to good with Chris? Like, is that a needed component to up it? I can see that. I can see that.
Sure.
All right. I got to go. I have no hope in Brook Lopez ever contributing again.
Wow.
I think he sucks.
I don't think he's like 36, 37.
He's killing me in DraftKings lately. I'm tired of it.
Always a gambling. It's always a gambling thing with you.
Well, that's why I'm so pissed at Debo. I played. I'm thinking revenge, but boys, I cherish you.
Same. Let's see which fan base finds this episode.
Yeah, thank you, Lions fans, for the engagement. Wow, incredible.
You definitely made.
They are everywhere.
$6-7 off of that.
Yeah, it's gonna help me. It's gonna help
you get a new smoke alarm.
Yeah. Keep liking and subscribing for that smoke alarm money. Let the YouTube ads play the whole way.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Bye.
Always appreciate the boys stopping by. Again, Grant Bills and Paul Immig on another episode of MmHmm. Let's wrap it up with some Carl's Place voicemails. Remember, there is a voicemail line. 402-915-BART. 402-915-2278. That's Bart. Thanks to our friends at Carl's Place. They've got a lot of fun stuff going on with golf simulators. There was the old link we had for you. If you are looking to get something and want to go through the link, go to bartwinkler.com and find the Carl's Place link. Go through it directly. Or just shop Carl's Place. You know what? They've been so good and great and a joy to work with that just if you want it, get it. I don't need you to follow 25 different hoops to get it. But if you know, whatever. If you want to give me credit for it. Can't just say that. But I can. All right, so some Carl's Place voicemails. There were a couple that came in this week. This was from Brick in West Dallas, and he is wrapping things up on the Packers-Lions game from last Thursday. Since the Packers have not played since then, still timely. Still very, very timely. Here's Brick.
Hello, Bart and into the Winklerverse. It's Brick and West Ellis. It's been a minute. I finally got around to listening to your after the Lions game, and I heard you talking about the pinnacle of someone's skill being an offensive coordinator, and then the whole thing changes when you get a new job. And that's similar to something called the Peter Principle in business, where you succeed at a job to the point where you suck at a job and won't get promoted anymore. So if you're a great salesperson, you become a sales manager, you become a sales manager, become a district manager, yada, yada, yada. And then eventually you get to a level and you're not good enough to get promoted. So you're kind of bad at your job, but you still have the job because you were successful up to your point of incompetent. So I think that's exactly what you're talking about with offensive coordinators. I just thought it was an interesting take. I love the content still and everything. I'm still here. I know I don't call much, but I love you, brother. Hope you have the day you deserve. And as always, Buck Craig Council.
Brick, I brought you up the other day. The day you deserve. I hope you have the day you deserve. The first time I ever heard you say that, I was like, what the hell does this guy just say to me? What's he trying to say here? But I love it. Because, I hope you have the day you deserve. If you deserve a great day, you deserve a great day. If not, then go screw yourself. But that Peter Principle, that I heard that before. That is interesting. I didn't connect it to this. But it's interesting because it's true. You keep getting promoted, and eventually you're not even qualified for the job you got promoted for. And I think that happens a lot in coaching. And I think it's okay for teams to say, okay, we've gone too far. I was talking about this with Antonio Pierce the other night on the Infinity Sports Network show, is that Antonio Pierce with the Raiders deserved the chance to coach as a head coach. He got the interim job. They loved him. He deserved that chance. He hasn't really done well with that chance. But these guys sign these 5-6 year contracts, and the ego being what it is, you can't just say, all right, Antonio, it's not working out as a head coach. We love you. So let's go back to what you were, a defensive guy, and then we'll get another head coach in here. Because then the head coach, is he going to want his own staff? It's just, if you promote the guy, there's no going back down the ladder. The only way back down is to fall, which isn't fair, but that's why they give out 5-6 year contracts, so you can at least collect some money while the dust settles. Because if you get promoted too fast, too soon, and then it doesn't work out, it's like your career is over, right? So maybe, with the Ben Johnson stuff, maybe he's only 38. Just stay the offensive coordinator under Dan Campbell. Ride the fruits of that. Then become a head coach. Don't become a head coach now, flame out. Now you're 43. And you're like, nobody wants me, so you have to go coach at Toledo or some shit. No offense. I got another call here.
Bart Winkler. I was going to call into the national show, but I got a problem, and I didn't want the finger on the dump button. I got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about it. Your barometer last week with the great state of Colorado is number one. Shitting on them. 1 week after you're toting snow football games and bashing domes, talking about games and elements.
Let me just try to add some context to this insane start to a voicemail. Is this Marcus in Colorado? So we had that snow game in Cleveland a couple of weeks ago between Cleveland and Pittsburgh, right? And there was the Buffalo Niners game, and these games are great. And I don't want to see like domes put over these stadiums. I don't want Cleveland to move into a dome. I don't want Chicago to move into a dome. Even like San Francisco the other night, it was rainy. You want some games in the elements. That's football. If you just throw a dome over everything, you don't get that anymore. So, I said that about elements. What I was saying about Denver is I did a list of not best home field advantage per se, but when a coach in the NFL sees your team on the schedule that you have to go there, the biggest road disadvantages. So there's a difference. It's not best home field advantage, but biggest road disadvantages. I put Kansas City actually at number 1, just because if you have to go to Kansas City, can you trust that things are going to go well there? I mean, I have no reason to believe anything's rigged, but can you trust it truly? I don't think you can. At least if I'm a coach. But Denver I put up on the list too, and then I did the whole bit that they shouldn't have sports in Colorado. Look, elements like snow and rain and wind and fog and heat and cold, these are all normal elements that any place in the world can experience. Sure, closer to the equator, it'll be warmer. Further north, it will be colder. But these are not like unique to that situation. There are 10 cities where you know you're going to go and it might be cold there. It might snow there. It might rain. There's only one city that has the unique advantage of the elevation that Denver has. There's only one city that you can't prepare for unless you're actually there. You can't be like, oh, I'll draw back on my experiences in these other 3 cities, also with high elevation, to prepare for Denver. No, you have to spend money, make special cages in your stadium to fuck with the oxygen. So what I was saying is, I don't think we talk enough about just how unfair of an advantage it is for people to have to play in Denver. And on that token, if I was Denver sports radio guy, I would be extra hard on my teams. Like, yeah, everybody knows, it's hard to pitch in the Colorado Rockies, but why can't we figure that one out for 81 games? Why are we last place in the NL West all the fucking time? Why are the Broncos not better than they are? The Nuggets finally won. They should have been winning titles for years. Inside or outside, it's still elevation. So Denver's got a very unfair advantage. On the other side of that, Denver should be winning more titles. So I don't know where the rest of this voicemail is going to go, but I don't know.
And now you're coming after the great state of Colorado for the environment and elements of their game.
What time was this call? 8:44 in the morning. I would have never guessed. Jeez. All right, where are we?
The great state of Colorado for the environment and elements of their game. You can't have it both ways.
I just explained how I could.
Put your microphone where your money is and come up with a solution.
Don't play in Colorado.
The problem. So here is the proposition. The Bartometer next time, if you were to move those teams, where would they go?
What is this voice you're doing?
They can't go to a city or state that already has a team. So what, you're going to bring the NFL to Iowa? You're going to bring the NBA to Boise? The MLB to Albuquerque? Let's hear it, Bart Winkler!
Look, I love you, man. Next time you call, don't do whatever that was. I think the altitude got to you a little bit, sir. I think is what happened. Thank you as always for stopping into the Winklerverse. We will talk to you after Packers Seahawks.